tell me your name and what you spend your days doing?
My name is Matt Mullenweg, and I spend my days building things. I used to build software directly, and now I build organizations that build software to try to democratize publishing.
So every time I hear you talk about what you do, it doesn't sound
Like a real job?
well, yeah, but in a wonderful way. You know, it sounds like you view what you do as, I don't know, maybe a mission, or as a what, you know, what are you trying? I guess what's your goal? What's driving you?
I think it's the same thing that drives a lot of people that work with Wordpress or Automattic, which is to have an impact. And we stumbled across this thing, for a lot of us that's WordPress, that resonates with a lot of people. It's enabled people to publish and never to publish before, have websites that look good and work great and that they are in control of, rather than being beholden or relying on someone else. And it's a lot of fun to work on as well.
And that's, I mean, it's funny because that you know, I've been making websites for a long time, and my journey with it was initially, you know, everything by hand, FTP uploading, and really almost doing the live streaming that now is built into Facebook, and you know, but doing it, you know, all manually doing it, and then starting to use tools, and now everything.
LiveJournal, right?
LiveJournal,
yeah, LiveJournal, old school.
Yeah, and then, but now everything I do that isn't through a social media site is either WordPress.com or WordPress.org, and so boom. and it because there was a time when you had 9 tags to choose from, and it was something that somebody who was not technically inclined and not code based could just be a creative and artistic, and it got to a point where you needed to have a code and a database guy and all these things, and my brain just went, give me back my 8 tags, you know, and I promise not to use the blink tag. And so like now I have most of my sites are that I do as artistic presentations, are personal installs, and then I have a ton that I just use as tools. Like I've got a personal blog that I don't share with anybody. It's called my what do I call it? It basically, anytime I get an email or a comment or something that is complimentary to myself, I post it there.
Oh, nice.
Because I just, as a kind of, the world is plenty of voices telling you that, you know, you suck and you're not good enough. And so I want to just keep a record of all the times when the world is reminding me that I'm on track and I'm
doing what you're doing. Yeah.
And I actually had this epiphany right before Burning Man, where I was like, I don't have a fancy car, I don't have a fancy house, I don't have a room full of gold, but my treasure is that blog. Like, when I'm gonna
something just for you.
And well, it is for me. But what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna give enough people the username and password, and when I die, I want it to be printed out in a book, and then I want anyone that loves me and knows me to have this. He doesn't have a room. He didn't leave us a bunch of stuff. But this is what he stood for. This is what the impact he made in the world. And then I want one copy burned. You know, like that's gonna be part of my funeral.
That's beautiful.
So thank you.
Yeah.
You're saying that you want to facilitate and make an impact, and your tool makes it so that I don't. If I had to go through the steps that I used to have to go to, I wouldn't do it. But it's just like, you know, go to that tab, drop down, pull the affirmation blog post. So.
And it's one of those things. I think that everyone has a lot of creativity inside of them, and with some folks they express it a lot, and some folks don't express as much. But as people who craft software, if we can make the software as invisible and friction-free as possible, it unlocks a little bit of that creativity. It's something that if it was harder, you might not do it. You might, but if we can make it really easy, maybe you'll do a little bit more. Maybe you'll get more comments if we make that form a little bit better, or you'll get more likes if we tweak the button, or just every part of the interface, everything you interact with has an influence on how your audience interacts with you, and how you interact with the software. There's nothing that exists in isolation, and I really appreciate that. Just the idea that we can change a feature. It might even be something that people don't notice, but it touches the lives of millions and millions of people who might see it dozens of times a day, or tens of millions, hundreds of millions of times a day, will interact with this little thing. If you can make it work a little bit better, that's extremely satisfying.
It's so cool because you're describing a lot of my intention, and one of the things that I really put a lot of effort in the world is trying to reduce the barriers that somebody has mentally of their vision of themselves as an artist. And so to hear you describe what you're trying to do, the same thing in a tool form. You're basically trying to reduce the barriers to your own ability to express. Because as you said, I believe that we've got these incredible creative cores of all sorts of ways that we want to express, and whether it is lack of tools or, so many people I know have either a mental barrier where they feel like, oh, I'm not an artist, or they have the skill/tool barrier where they go, well, I don't know how to X, Y, Z.
Yeah, which is interesting.
And so
it happens to all of us. I do that all the time.
Me too. And so it's I think that by it's just it's this cool feeling as you're describing what your attention tool is. My intention as I talk about foofy, hey man, let it go. So it's like me having pink hair and you tweaking code is actually the insane directional intention.
Very much so, because you're crafting things and you're putting an attention to detail and a love and a care into something. People might notice it or they might not, but they'll interact with it and it'll have an impact on them. And I like the idea of that. The art that you put out there, everyone who sees it is a little bit different. Like physically their brain will be different after they saw it than before they saw it. Like anything we interact with. It'll be part of the experiences they take with them the rest of their life.
Thanks for having an impact on me.
Oh, no problem.
Thanks.
Well, thank you as well.
My pleasure.
That's great.
Done.
Yeah.